Dearra is filing a lawsuit against Ken because this man has been stealing from their joint account. And one of the reasons he said he couldn't pay her back is because some of the money went to his medical bills. You ain't look all that sick when you was going on them trips and you was buying them cars and you was in the club, but we gonna get into it. So before we get into the lawsuit, apparently he's been cheating before it was even known publicly to us. Dearra and this man went to counseling.
So it looks like Dearra and Ken are not done with each other just yet, because she just dragged him to court and exposed him for stealing over $100,000 from her. Apparently, all them back-to-back vacation trips and expensive cars that Ken was out here buying were all being funded by the money he was stealing from her. And once she found out and cut him off, he ran dry and tried to manipulate her into basically taking care of him. As it stands now, Ken can barely afford his rent and had to move back to his mama's house just to get a place to stay. People are even wondering where he gonna get the funds to pay these lawyer fees once he and Dearra's trial starts, because she is not letting up on him until he pays her back every dollar he stole. According to her lawsuit, she claims that Ken unlawfully took thousands of dollars out of their joint account after they had already settled on how they was gonna split the money. She said back when they were still together and running their YouTube channel, DK4L, they made over $1 million from the views on the channel, as well as multiple brand deals. Obviously, since them deals were for them as a joint couple, they got paid as a couple, so those earnings went to a joint account. However, this agreement was destroyed back in 2021 when Dearra broke up their engagement after she caught Ken cheating on her for the 1 millionth time. Apparently, he had been cheating on her for years, but the publicity around the 2021 cheating scandal was the worst one yet, so she clocked out and never looked back. Now, even though they weren't together anymore, they still had a business together, and they still had their YouTube channel up, which pulls in millions of views every month from all sorts of fans who are still hung up on their past relationship. So they decided to keep it and get a lawyer to help them split the money because Dearra felt like she deserved more, which was no shade to Ken. She definitely did. I mean, she was the main reason that people were even watching the channel in the first place, and she was the one who convinced Ken to start the channel. Anyway, not only that, but while the whole cheating scandal was still trending on social media, Ken completely stopped posting content, and Dearra kept posting by herself just to keep the brand going. She even went as far as putting all the money she made by herself during the time that Ken was hiding from the world into that joint account. When they eventually broke up, they agreed to keep $80,000 in their joint account for business purposes. They also had a Tesla truck, which Dearra agreed to pay off and keep. Now, this is where things started to get real messy, because even after everything that Ken did, he still had the gall to completely go against all the agreements that he and Dearra had. And that's where he had our good sis messed up at. Dearra claims that since she was still making money from the brand deals by herself even after she broke up with Ken, she wasn't really checking in on the money they had in that account. Ken's trifling self, on the other hand, wasn't getting no brand deals at all, which means he was steady going broke, and instead of him cutting down on spending habits, he actually started to go on multiple vacations, spending thousands of dollars on sports cars to show the world he was living good without Dearra. I mean, I know most of y'all saw his posts on Instagram. That man was living the high life with her money. Well, guess what? Almost a year after the breakup, Dearra decided to check on that joint account that they had, and oh boy had wiped it clean. Obviously, Dearra was livid when she saw this, so she confronted him, and he claimed that the reason he took the money was because he had to cover some medical bills. Dearra did not believe none of that and even called BS because apparently the timeline of Ken's supposed medical emergency wasn't even correlating with the time that the money was wiped out the account. She said that the money had been taken out of the account way before any medical bills had been accumulated. Oh, but that's not all, y'all. In the lawsuit, she said that they had received about $200K each from a buyout of a joint property they had. So she doesn't understand why Ken had the need to tap into their joint account for medical bills. I mean, surely he'd have something left of that $200K, right? Not only that, but if y'all remember, I said they had a Tesla truck that Dearra agreed to pay for. Well, it turns out there was a $40,000 collateral on that truck, but since Dearra paid off the truck on time, the 40 bands were returned. And guess who took it all? Ken himself. He was supposed to inform Dearra and split that money with her, her, but he kept it all to himself and didn't say a word about it to her. Before Dearra even made this entire thing a lawsuit, she gave Ken the chance to do the right thing by paying her back. But he told her he was too broke to pay it back and that he recently had to move back to his mama's house. When all this came out, people jumped Ken online and started dragging him for filth. So he put out a video explaining his side of things, but he didn't end up saying anything useful. He said he has text messages that he'll be using in court to defend himself, and that he and Dearra supposedly spoke about all this years ago.
All right, let's go ahead and address this really quickly. First of all, good morning. It's too early for this. But anyway, let's go ahead and address a couple things. Number one, the $40,000 regarding the car. Came to the end agreement after we had a number of conversations about it. You keep the car, we break even on the loan. The car's valued at like $43,000. The loan's $40,000. We break even. Boom. Never heard about it since. You got a bill of sale. You got the title to the car, everything. Cool. That was it. Regarding the bank account, again, extensive text messages regarding this. We had a phone call after all our conversations, December 12th at 4 p.m. I think in 2022 this was. Again, this is in text messages. We had a number of conversations on it. People on your team said, hey, you file this personal income, pay the taxes on it. Cool. Never talked about it since. Everything else, Snapchat, the YouTube videos, whatever, it's like, I thought we moved past this years ago.
Ken took the money the bank gave them to split. He took the money out of the DK4L account, which was $80K. Cheated on her publicly before engagement and after engagement, publicly embarrassed her. In 2023, he said he would sign a form to agree to pay her back. In 2024, he didn't respond for the papers or anything, leaving Dearra to pay for the Tesla, property, and taxes with her own money, which was supposed to be paid out from the DK4L account. But guess what? Ken dried it out completely, like LMFAO. Now he said he broke and going back to his mama, but he had over $500,000 in 2023. Where'd the money go that fast that you can't pay this girl back her money? Another person said, lawsuits are public records. If you just skim through it to see the ish he pulled, y'all would see she's entitled to everything she's suing for, and I hope she gets it. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do y'all think about Dearra suing Ken for being a thief? And do y'all really believe he used all that money for medical bills? Y'all been knew what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.